Hey everybody, it's Space Engineers. I'm only back for a little bit, and that's because I love gravity wells. Fighting my way out of a gravity well is the most fun thing in any space engineering game, and that's why I like Kerbal so much. I thought I would see how well the gravity wells in Space Engineers held up, so here I am on a one-gravity planet. Unfortunately, it looks like they patched out all of my neat tricks, so I can't use rotating engines or grinders or mass cannons, but I can still do a lot of optimization, and I figured that I would create a starting vehicle that has enough to get you on your way to building any base you'd like that can reach orbit from this planet, and that's what I've done. I wanted to have something small. All of the demonstrations I'd seen were huge. Now it has to be a large ship because, well, you need that for a refinery, but I decided to try and make it as small as possible. So here it is. As you can see, it is pretty small. When you're trying to get off of a planet, your secret weapon will always be hydrogen thrusters. These have an extraordinarily high thrust level and are extraordinarily light. So what I've done is I've just equipped two of them pointing downwards, and that is plenty to get off of the planet. But I found that a lot of people who did this ran out of hydrogen fuel real fast. This can reach orbit with way more than half of a tank remaining, although the exact amount depends on the load you've got in your cargo tank. But I figured what I would do is I would show you a tour of the ship and show you how it all works. First off, you can see that the entrances, both fore and aft, are neatly tucked between landing legs, so it's extremely unlikely they'll get damaged when you set her down. We've got two docking ports for cars that you might build while you're on the planet. You won't be able to drag them into space with you because that unbalances the ship, but this ship is tiny, so if you're trying to drag something up, you'll want to build something better and bigger. It's got all the stuff we need. It's got refinery, assembler, oxygen generator, oxygen tank, cargo tank, hydrogen tank, everything you need. It's also got medical and cryo. And of course, our ever-favorite, gravity. It has one small reactor, but this is a battery-powered ship. The reactor is empty right now. I just keep it around with access in case I run out of batteries entirely. It has a programming block, which is basically the heart of the ship. Over here you can see some commands. Hydrogen does get burned when you maneuver, so you can turn it off if you want to maneuver without burning any hydrogen. Useful for deep space maneuvering. Power automation, I have Freya on this thing, so if you're planning to stay on a planet for a while with day-night cycles, turn Freya on and she'll do your power management for you. Has a jump drive, as you can see, and it has a couple of solar panels, as you can see. It's got some turrets, just for safety's sake, and I think that was all I wanted to talk about. Oh, it has a small number of standard maneuvering thrusters, so not all of the thrusters are hydrogen. In fact, only the two main down thrusters and these two rearward pointed thrusters are hydrogen. It has orthogonal thrusters in the standard format for everything else. However, those don't really do very much thrust, so this ship is not the spryest thing around, but it is super efficient and super easy to use. So if you want to use the ship to launch into orbit, all you have to do is hit 1. So let's hit 1. Shoo! And it will take you into orbit in a very efficient path. Over here you can see that it is calculating out what your speed is and what your override needs to be. This keeps you from burning too much hydrogen fuel. When you hit that 100% speed cap, it just any additional thrust would be wasted fuel. So here we have a system that understands that and figures out on the fly what your override needs to be for optimal fuel use. And that means that regardless of how much you've got in your cargo tank, you're still going to get into space optimally. I've gone up with a full cargo tank and got into space with more than 30% of my fuel tank remaining. In this case, we'll get up into space with around 70% of our fuel remaining. We only have one hydrogen tank, so that means we're burning less than half of a hydrogen tank to get into space, which is pretty good off of these 1G planets. You can see that this is a small ship. It's very small, and I took a lot of liberties with making it look cool, so I could have made it even lighter and cheaper, but I really wanted it to feel like something that you might not mind living in for a while. So if you think that this ship looks neat, you can feel free to grab it. It's got some features like Freya and toggling systems and of course everyone's favorite very, very cheap launch system. So if you want to try all those things, you can do it. If you want to learn how to do it, you can grab it and take a peek. The program is a little complicated, but it's basically just you get the position delta and you get the time delta and you figure out how fast you're going. And if you're going too fast, you reduce the override, and if you're going slow, then you increase the override. And once you are out in space, you reduce the override to 0 organically, and your speed isn't dropping anymore, so that is the point at which you realize that you don't need any more drives. It shuts off automatically, and it leaves you floating away from the planet at 100% speed. Obviously, you do not want to have your inertial dampeners on while you're doing this. That would be very dumb. So we are now well out of the major part of the gravity well. We're out to where the gravity has gone from 1 to 0.55, and that means we've already burned the majority of our fuel. Shall we see how much fuel we have left? 75%. So it only took us 25% of a single tank of fuel to reach this height above the planet. And we'll probably end up burning around 5 to 10 more percent to get all the way out. Maybe 15%. And I'm not doing anything. I'm just letting it fly as it pleases. When you're not launching, this shows how much fuel you've got left in the state of your ship, which you might have seen back in the beginning. But that's it. If you want to try it, link is below. Oh, look.